prominent figure taking up this fight, Tamsen Fadal. You may recognize her as a longtime Emmy-winning journalist at WPIX in New York. She is a fierce advocate for women's health. She has a documentary on menopause coming out in October called The M Factor. Tamsen, what a pleasure. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Let's start with this moment, Tamsen. Halle Berry shouting at the Capitol, "I'm in menopause." The fact that this is generating so many headlines, how important is this moment and how real is the stigma still?
Well, I got to tell you, the stigma is real. It's very real. But by the year 2025, if you just take a look at the numbers, 1 billion women across the world will be in menopause. That's half the population, a little bit more than half the population. The problem is that most of them don't even know what they're dealing with till they're well into their symptoms. They don't know what's happening, and then they're left to wonder what is going on. They face a lack of treatment, a lack of education, and a lack of options about menopause.
Yeah, when did this become something you decided to fight for? I know this is such a personal journey for you.
You know, it's funny. I was listening to Halle Berry talk about this, and I met her last year on Capitol Hill. And I don't know that any of us thought about it in advance that we were, like, I'm going to be an advocate for menopause. It was nothing that we had discussed before. But I think when each one of us got into this transition in life and realized we were all running around searching for the same information, we realized that's not okay for the next generation. It's not okay for our daughters, our sisters. It's not okay for anybody to go through something and not know what they're dealing with, especially when we're seeing women in the workplace so much longer these days.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me about your journey as well. You thought that there was some sort of unknown health crisis that was happening. You had no idea what was going on at first, right?
Yeah, I had no idea what was happening. And, I lost my mom at an early age. It was nothing my mother ever talked to me about. And so I was dealing with it. And I went from doctor to doctor to doctor. I saw 5 different doctors. And, they finally, I was like, what is happening with me? But my concern was I lost my mother to breast cancer. And I had a lot of misinformation about treatment options that were available to me. And so I tried to go it alone and suck it up and just get through it. And I realized I wasn't going to be able to do that. I had debilitating brain fog. I had anxiety. I had panic attacks. I had hot flashes. And, I hear so many women, story after story, each week reaching out to me saying, I feel alone. I feel like there's something wrong with me and I'm not getting any help at all. And that's just not okay.
5 different doctors. What does that tell you about our healthcare system and the way that they are dealing with this, the way they're able to educate women who are coming to them?
I mean, the big concern is a lot of the doctors are not being educated. There was a recent survey done that said just a small percentage of residents leave medical school even knowing anything about how to treat menopause. And that's not okay. And that's why a bill like this is so important, not just for the research dollars, but to educate the doctors so they can in turn educate patients and feel comfortable covering this. And comfortable when a patient goes into their office and can talk about it. I mean, up until recently, it was about 2 years ago, I was talking to another woman, a businesswoman, and she said, look, we're going into a meeting. Don't bring up menopause. Menopause is a dirty word to these people. And that's what shows you what kind of stigma is still out there. And it's just not okay.
That
It's
feels
not okay
wild.
with stigma or not treatment.
In this day and age, absolutely. Tell me about the bipartisan legislation. This could put $275 million towards education and research. What needs to happen now?
Well, you know what I find interesting about this bipartisan bill is it boosts the research. There's a lot of talk about that, but a lot of talk about being able to train doctors with all of this. And I think that that's really important. Halle Berry did a great job of using her celebrity to introduce the bill. And I'm also grateful to the doctors and the advocates and the activists who work tirelessly trying to push research and education and knowledge about menopause. The one interesting part to this bill, is the public awareness campaign that was mentioned in all this, because we can talk about it and we can have research and we can educate doctors, but the public needs to be aware of this too. And that's what's really important with this. So I love to see a bipartisan bill like this. I love to see everybody coming together on Capitol Hill. We've still got work to do, but I think we're going to do it. And the fact that we're going to educate people along the way just by having a bill like this proposed makes me super excited.
Yeah, absolutely. That we're even having this conversation right now. What is the most important thing you know about menopause now that you wish you knew before?
Oh gosh, the most important thing is that I understand the treatment options available. I understand hormone therapy, which was very confusing to me before, and I understand that we have got to educate other women so they're not suffering. There are 34 plus symptoms of menopause. That's the first thing I did when I went on social media to talk about it, listing the symptoms, and the response I got from other women learning about those symptoms and hearing them for the first time, knowing that there wasn't something wrong with them, that they were going through menopause. That's what I wish I I'd known back then.
It is such a strange thing that more than half of the population will be going through this or already has at some point. I do hear this. I see this among your 1.3 million followers. People saying, I felt like an island. I felt so alone when this was going on. Tamsen Fadal, I wish we had more time. Thank you so much for your time tonight.